All right, it is Tuesday, March 17th, 2026, 7 p.m. I will call the city council meeting to order. Clerk Herbert, will you please call the roll?
Here.
Here. Here. Here.
Here. Thank you. Item 3, Pledge of Allegiance. I invite everybody to stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Moving on, item 4, consent agenda. The consent agenda outlined below is hereby presented for action by the city council. Items may be removed from the consent agenda on the request of any one council member. Items not removed may be adopted by one action without debate. Removed items may be taken up either immediately after the consent agenda or placed later on the agenda at the discretion of the council president.
I move to approve the consent agenda as listed, items 4A through O.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Just like to point out, there is a lot of events going to be happening this summer with this agenda, so. And to invite everybody to make sure you get out and attend them. Seeing that, motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, public hearings. Tonight we have none. Item 6, public comments for matters on the agenda. The city council will receive comments from city residents. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. Anyone wishing to speak is required to sign up in advance or state the following for the items when called upon. Name, address, and contact information. For those of you following along on Zoom, wish to speak, please raise your virtual hand as the chat box is not monitored, and those on the call must remain muted unless recognized to speak. I don't believe we have anyone signed up in person tonight for the first public comment, correct? Okay. Sorry, for the matters on the agenda?
Oh.
Okay, your part is on later in the night. So I believe we have Mr. House signed up or asking to speak on Zoom, so I will recognize you.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'd be there, but I'm celebrating my birthday. Anyways, I was running through the
John, can you state your name and address just for the record, please?
Sure can, sorry. John House, 104 Jefferson Street, Port Atkinson.
Thank you.
I was going through the agenda. I noticed that there's a bid for new furnaces for the senior center. I guess I'm a little concerned. There's only one bid, and as I read it, staff had decided that Lennox was the ones that everybody was familiar with, and that's why you went with that contractor. Now, I used to be an HVC contractor myself. I held my license for 20 years. I know what those things cost. I would like at least 2 more bids before you give that to a one contractor. Nothing against the contractor. He's done business for me in the past. My concern, I'd like to see 2 more bids. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing nobody else on the Zoom call, I will close out public comment and move on. Pardon me. Item 7, petitions, requests, and communications. 7A is review and possible action on a proclamation recognizing April as Fair Housing Month in the city of Fort Atkinson. Manager Hausman.
Thank you. So you have the staff report and the proclamation in your packet. The proclamation does declare the city's support for fair housing initiatives and recognize the benefits of a diverse and inclusive community. And it further declares April as Fair Housing Month in the city of Fort Atkinson. Staff does recommend that the City Council adopt the proclamation recognizing April 2026 as Fair Housing Month in the city of Fort Atkinson. I'd be happy to take any questions.
I move to approve the proclamation declaring April as Fair Housing Month in the city of Fort Atkinson.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, resolutions and ordinances. 8A is review and possible action relating to a resolution terminating tax increment district number 6 in the city of Fort Atkinson, Jefferson County, Wisconsin. Manager Hausman.
Thank you. I'm very pleased tonight to recommend that the council terminate TID 6. TID 6 was created in January of 2000, and it covered the Clement Business Park. It was declared distressed in 2011, and our other TIDs at the time, TID 6 and, or excuse me, TID 7 and TID 8 did donate increment to pay down the debt from 6. Through focused efforts and patience, sufficient increment was collected from the 2024 tax roll to pay off the project costs and other obligations in TID 6. This city council did adopt a resolution in 2025 that kept that tax increment district open for 12 months to allow funding for the city's affordable housing fund. So I am very pleased to tonight recommend that the city council adopt the resolution terminating TID 6. Just a note, the termination of TID 6 will have a positive financial impact on all of the taxing jurisdictions within the city. The table on the second page of the staff report does show the positive contribution to the city's portion of the tax, the property taxes in 2027 and beyond. And that amount is estimated at $51,653.14. So closing this tax increment district allows for all of the value that has been increased over time since the TID was created in 2000 to go back on the general tax roll in the percentages shown on the table, the 2025 mill rate total table. I would be happy to answer any questions, and if this is part of the city's plan for our oldest TID 6, 7, and 8, we have another resolution later on the agenda relating to terminating TID 7. I'm happy to answer any questions, but staff does recommend that council approve the resolution terminating tax increment district number 6.
Sounds so ominous to be terminating something when it's actually something to celebrate. I would move to approve the resolution terminating tax increment district number 6 in the city of Fort Atkinson, Jefferson County, Wisconsin.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 8B, review and possible action relating to the resolution terminating tax increment district number 7 in the city of Fort Atkinson, Jefferson County, Wisconsin. Manager Halston.
Thank you. TID 7 was a blight elimination TID that was created in 2000 as well. Since 2000, it's in the city's downtown. Since 2011, TID 7 has been donating increment to pay off TID 6's obligations. But now TID 6 was solvent as of 2024. TID 7 was also extended for 1 year to provide funds for the city's affordable housing fund. And that was done in August of 2025. And as such, the DOR requires that we close these TIDs by April 15th of 2026. So the termination of TID number 7 will also have a positive impact on the city's tax base as well as the property taxes collected because all of the value from TID 7 will be on the general tax base. So, and that impact on the city's general fund in 2027 and beyond is $148,377.78, which is an estimate, of course. So staff does recommend that the city council adopt the resolution terminating TID 7 and direct the city clerk to file the appropriate paperwork with the DOR by April 15th. I'm happy to answer any questions on this one.
I move to approve the resolution terminating tax incremental district number 7 in the city of Fort Atkinson, Jefferson County, Wisconsin.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 8C, the first reading of an ordinance relating to a zoning map amendment to change the zoning district for a property located on Meadow Lane, parcels 226-0614 -3231 -000 and 226-0614 3242 -001 from suburban mixed use SMU to multifamily residential 12 MRN 12 building neighborhood of Director of Building and Neighborhood Services, Director Drager, sorry. It's a mouthful there.
It's a lot, yeah, trust me. You have to answer the phone with it. It doesn't get any easier. Yeah, so as you said, this is a first reading of a zoning map amendment. The applicant, pre-3, I don't know if looking through the Plan Commission memo is proposing several buildings, 12 units each, be 6 different buildings, to be exact. And the current zoning does not allow for standalone apartments. It would require an element of commercial. So they're requesting to rezone it to MRM 12, which would be appropriate for the type of development they're proposing. That'll come before this body again through a CSM, and then a site plan review, which will go through Plan Commission. But the neighboring properties have a mixture of residential development as well. And the comprehensive plan does show this as planned mixed use, so that is appropriate from the comprehensive plan as well. The bulk regulations are all being met, minus one of the parcels does not have lot frontage, but through that CSM and development, the property will bring that into compliance as well with being one lot and have frontage of the property. Financial analysis, there is no direct cost to the city, but with the development, there is an expand in the tax base and additional housing units in this area. So I welcome any questions you have, but city staff do recommend the city council perform the first reading. And I will note that the Plan Commission did recommend that as well on March 10th, and there was a public hearing with no public comment.
I move to perform the first reading of the ordinance amending the zoning map for the properties located on Meadow Lane and direct the city manager to prepare the ordinance for a second and possible third final reading at the meeting on April 9th, 2026.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. 8D, review, first reading of an ordinance relating to a zoning map amendment for the property located at 23 North Water Street East and the westernly adjacent lot, parcels 226-0514 -0322 -008 and 226-054 -322 -09 to change the zoning from downtown historic mixed use DHMU to downtown historic mixed use with a planned unit development overlay. Director Drager.
All right, thank you. This one's a bit more complex than the previous one, as it is proposing a planned unit development with that DHMU underlying zoning. So what that means is with the PUD process, they're proposing some flexibilities inside of the historic mixed use zoning. And then everything else outside of what they're proposing would still have to follow the DHMU zoning after the approval process. This portion here is simply the zoning aspect of it, the zoning ordinance. So the first reading of it, and then the PUD, the general development plan, which will lay out those distinct variations from the zoning ordinance and further down in the agenda. With that, what Premier Bank is proposing is there is an existing vacant lot and an existing dilapidated building. They're proposing to take down the building and combine those into a off-site parking lot. That specifically is not allowed in the DHMU zoning, which is why moving to that PUD process. Along with that, they are proposing to upgrade the stormwater system in there along with the neighboring property stormwater which is not functioning properly. As well as I do note that there is a existing public sewer that is running underneath existing buildings that is nearing the end of life and is in need of replacement. So this would also work in conjunction with Premier and allow for an easement for that sewer to be replaced outside of private property other than through the parking lot with an easement. There are some other minor flexibilities that they're searching, which would be setbacks and some landscaping requirements that wouldn't be able to be met because of the site constraints and the overall size of it. But with that, overall, I think it's a pretty good project. This Plan Commission had looked at this as a concept plan, and there was a public hearing with no comment on it. I do want to note that Dave Beanfang also called to express support for this personally. And then Plan Commission did recommend approval of the zoning map amendment on March 10th. Welcome any questions.
I assume this would be private parking for premium, for the bank?
Yeah, it would be private property, but Premier has indicated that they will not be signing it as exclusively Premier Bank parking. The times during the day that they would be using it often will not overlap with when it would be available or highly used by the general public.
That'd be cool. I mean, on weekends when we had something going and the bank wasn't open, to be able to park there.
Yep. And then there will also be some cross access easements that would come forward as part of this certified survey map that would allow for the parking lot to the north to access through there as well to make traffic flow a little bit better, or parking flow through those parking areas.
I think
Yeah.
the zoning proposal is very good from what Director Navin shared with us earlier in the last year, and the parking for downtown.
Yeah, it's been
It's
a
really
really
good.
good effort by the city and Premier Bank to come up with a solution for their parking needs and for some improvements that are needed by the city.
Mhm.
I like the drawing that you had for us to look at that. I think aesthetically would be pretty solid looking, even though we have to make a variance or two to get it in there.
Oh, sorry, yeah, there is no doubt that the site will be improved aesthetically.
From the existing situation.
Mhm.
Yeah, that existing building dilapidated as you described it. How close is it to like needing to be condemned?
I have not been in there, but from looking at the outside, it's not far from that. Looking at it from the interior, I should clarify.
I move to perform the first reading of the ordinance amending the zoning map for the properties located on North Water Street East and direct the city manager to prepare the ordinance for a second and possible third and final reading on April 9th, 2026.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. 8E, first reading of an ordinance relating to amendments to various sections of the zoning ordinance, chapter 15 of the City of Fort Atkinson Code of General Ordinances relating to the review and approval of signs. Director Drager again.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so this was brought forward, I believe, by a council member and then reviewed by the ordinance committee on February 3rd to recommend to the city council. And then Plan Commission held a public hearing with no public comment and did recommend approval of the zoning text amendments. This is Article 9 signage in the zonings or city zoning ordinance. Most of this pertains to general signs on building signs that would generally be reviewed by staff prior to going Plan Commission for review and approval, fully vetted prior to getting there. This is just eliminating a step and streamlining the process for businesses to essentially have the same amount of review ahead of time without that extra step. But it does retain Plan Commission's oversight for electronic message boards and for signage in the downtown historic mixed use, which will stay underneath that special area design review. There is also a section that you'll notice in there that does allow for city staff to recommend a sign approval for Plan Commission review if it's seen as a difficult or possible contention of that sign, just for additional oversight. With that, staff does recommend approval of those, or recommend the city council perform the first reading of the ordinance. And I welcome any questions.
Just, appreciate you guys moving forward with this and bringing it for light. I was one that kind of brought this forward by having a few business owners reach out to me, expressing a little bit of concern as to how long it took just because of the added steps. And they always see in that all these signs always come before Plan Commission and get unanimous support because they're vetted so well by you guys.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I move to perform the first reading of the ordinance amending the zoning code relating to the approval of signs and direct the city manager to prepare the ordinance for a second and possible third final reading at the meeting on April 9th, 2026.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 9, reports of officers, boards, and committees. 9A is a city manager's report. Manager Hausman.
Thank you. I was pleased to be the mystery reader at base on March 5th to celebrate Read Across America Week. I read a delightful book about the benefits of acceptance and unity, and I also spent some time talking to the kids about local governments and the services that we provide. Two of the kids there had a little bit more knowledge than the rest, and those would be my two of my children who go to base, who know a little bit more about local government services than most kids. But anyway, I enjoyed that. On Sunday, March 8th, I attended the K-9 Veterans Day event at the Legion. Mabel Schumacher and Dan Juday organized a very comprehensive night event honoring the war dogs and their handlers throughout history, as well as new technology being used to train and protect current and future war dogs. The city's K-9 officer, Adam Lawrence, and K-9 Smitty were also recognized and present. There were a lot of dogs in that room, so it was a very nice event. Chief Peterson and I continue to participate in the Jefferson County EMS Working Group meetings to ensure that the interests of the city of Fort Atkinson and our town partners are considered. The group met on March 11th and will meet again on April 8th. The city continues to work with KL Engineering on the design work for the Banker Road relocation project. The 60% plan set was submitted to the DOT on Friday, and the project is on track for construction starting in 2027. There will be a public information meeting at the municipal building on March 25th at 5 p.m. if anybody's interested. Property owners in the area have been notified through a letter of that meeting. The South Main Street construction and pedestrian path continues. The work continues on that. That will start construction likely within the next few weeks when the snow goes away. So I encourage people to take a look, monitor the city's website for additional communication relating to that project. Occupancy permits have been issued for 2 houses in the Maple Grove subdivision by Jones Park, and the first occupancy permit has been issued in the Ridgeview Estates subdivision. So we hope to see much more home building this spring as the snow clears, but it's exciting to have a couple of those occupancy permits being issued. I attended Pi Day at the library on Saturday, March 14th. I saw Councilmember Lesko here there as well. I purchased a beautiful and delicious Dutch apple pie that turned out to be baked by our very own Courtney Toom. So that was very nice to find that out. Thank you to the Friends of the Library, the AAUW, and the Heart of the City for continuing this fun community event. And of course, that's Pi Day 3.14, pie, the number, as well as pie, the delicious dessert. The city's consultants and our development team held the Affordable Housing Fund Policy Kickoff meeting yesterday. Kristen Fish-Peterson and her team at Redevelopment Resources will be reaching out to community leaders and stakeholders and other interested folks, as well as elected officials, Plan Commission members, to set up interviews and possible focus groups to gather feedback in creating those programs and policies. I want to take a moment and recognize our staff for their incredible response to this late winter, we'll call it late winter, not early spring, snowstorm. Superintendent Tom Williamson tracked this storm for about a week, and our Public Works Operations team did a really phenomenal job clearing the snow from our roadways. I also want to recognize our parks, water, and wastewater staff for their efforts in clearing sidewalk, parking lots, and other city facilities. Thank you all. Overall, if we absolutely must get 12 inches of snow in March, I'm happy that our folks can get rid of it. Because of that storm, John's Disposal has informed the city that garbage and recycling collection has been delayed by 1 day this week. So everything should be picked up by Friday still. For more information, check the city's website. We did do some social media posts about that delay in garbage collection. In-person absentee voting for the April 7th spring election will begin on Tuesday, March 24th and continue during regular office hours through Friday, April 3rd in the clerk's office. Note that the municipal building will be closed on Friday, April 3rd for spring holiday, but the clerk's office will be staffed, thank you, Michelle, for absentee voting. Remember to bring your photo ID for absentee voting or voting in person on election day, which again is April 7th. Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. In our municipal gym with our brand new floor mats. So also exciting. Contests on that ballot include Justice of the Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, Judge District 4, Jefferson County Supervisors, City Council members, and school board members. On April 7th, our very own Neighborhood and Building Services Director, Jed Drager, will share his expertise as a speaker at the Jefferson County Shoreland Contractors Meeting in Jefferson. The workshop will cover city and county zoning rules, native plantings, and best practices relating to shoreline stabilization, along with funding opportunities. And also, finally, note that there is a 5th Tuesday in March. So the next city council meeting will be in April, but the April election is on the first Tuesday in April. So the next city council meeting will take place on Thursday, April 9th at 7 p.m. So thank you.
Thank you. Item 10, unfinished business. Tonight we have none. Item 11, new business. 11A, review and possible action on a planned unit development, general development plan for the property located at 23 North Water Street East and the westernly adjacent vacant lots to allow removal of a vacant building and development of a 15-stall parking lot at the site. PUD 2025-03, Director Drager again.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I touched on this a little bit earlier, this is the portion where City Council will review and decide on the specific flexibilities that will be noted on the actual zoning for this property. This will carry with the project and sets out those specific flexibilities. Which does, as far as the conditions that are set, does require for the baseline DHMU zoning to persist. And then those 9 proposed flexibilities as are laid out in the staff report and identified as there's landscaping, the use itself and setbacks due to the confined site. And then later on, a review and approval of a CSM with cross-access easements and utility easements per the city, and then storm sewer upgrades that are needed for this parcel and the parcel to the north to be all included on that CSM. And then just so City Council is aware, the overall specifics and engineering of all these items will come back through Plan Commission underneath that special implementation plan where all those specifics will be hashed out and finer detailed. I welcome any questions.
I don't have any questions, but I appreciate the flexibility so we can get that space used in a better way.
Mhm.
So I was happy to see that.
And the applicant doesn't have any issues with those proposed flexibilities?
No, yeah, we've worked with Premier Bank for going on 2 years over this project, trying to figure out how to make it work, and I think it was good teamwork.
I move to approve the planned unit development, general development plan for the property located at 23 North Water Street East and the westerly adjacent vacant lot to allow removal of a vacant building and development of a 15-stall parking lot at the site, subject to the 9 proposed flexibility conditions outlined in the staff report.
Second.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 11B, review and possible action relating to a certified survey map for the property located at 1310 Campus Drive. Director Drager.
All right, thank you. This previously became, a portion of this came before the city council as a general development plan and a zoning map amendment back in 2023 for this site for multifamily housing development. This proposal would be splitting that existing lot into two separate parcels. The zoning itself does not change. The main thing that would happen here is any future development would have to go through some of those processes again. If the bulk of everything were to remain the same, then it could possibly just be an amendment to the specific implementation plan. The new lot itself would have to go through both processes. So this would be reviewed by the city. Any development would be reviewed by the city prior to any approvals. This is simply separating those two lots into, or that one lot into two separate lots. The current one, the existing one is 5.39 acres. The two new lots, the one along campus and Hawthorne would be 3.587 acres. And then the one primarily along Banker Road would be 1.799 roughly. Those meet the bulk zoning requirements. So overall, they are meeting the city's requirements. There was Plan Commission recommended this on March 10th. There was one thing to note, there was some cross-access easements that are shown on the CSM right now. After staff had discussions with the applicant was kind of teetering on whether they would like those there in the first place. It was determined and agreed by the applicant that could possibly deter some development of that parcel, allowing that much access from a separate property owner potentially. And then the applicant did ask that it be included as a condition that those are removed from the CSM. With that, staff does recommend approval of the CSM, and I'd welcome any questions.
I have one question about the shape. There's a very narrow strip. Is that just to allow access to utilities, or
I'm not
is
entirely
there any?
sure
Okay.
what the base was. I think my assumption would be that was for some of that access to be laid out, there for some of those access agreements, and potentially to keep the amount of acreage for a potential development on that north side, which the amount of acreage could allow for a larger building with more surface area for stormwater.
I think this CSM, these two lots allow the property owner the flexibility to sell them both to one developer for a project or sell them individually for, to support, maybe lot two would support the growth in the development to the north and lot one would be a separate project, or they could be sold to the same property owner.
Okay.
So I think it was just to maximize the flexibility.
Okay.
There's no, like, the applicant hasn't shared information as to like a buyer lined up for these, I assume. They are.
Officially, no. We've fielded some questions about the property itself, but that's about it for the extent of it.
I move to approve the two-lot certified survey map for the property located at 1310 Campus Drive.
Second.
Do I have a motion and a second? Any further discussion? Do we need to note the conditions outlined in staff report to go with that?
Yes.
Is that a friendly amendment there
Okay.
for both?
So moved.
Councilmember Huckabee, is that acceptable?
Yes.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the two-lot certified survey map for the property located at 1310 Campus Drive with the conditions outlined in staff report. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 11C, review and possible action relating to a general consulting services agreement between the city of Fort Atkinson and Robert W. Baird Company Incorporated for the creation of tax increment district number 11. Manager Hausman.
Thank you. So there are three of these general consulting services agreements on the agenda tonight. I will talk a little bit about all of them, and then I'd be happy to answer questions about them. And then staff requests that the council take separate action for each one. So these are the first, I will call it the first steps in creating new tax increment districts. Robert W. Baird, or Baird, is our financial advisors, and they have assisted us in the past with creating tax increment districts, as well as they serve as our debt advisors and our general financial advisors. So earlier tonight, the council passed a resolution to terminate TID 6. TID number 11 is proposed to be a mixed-use TID that will include the undeveloped and underdeveloped land in the Clement Business Park, as well as other adjacent land that could see future development. So the agreement for TID 11 provides the general consulting services that are outlined in the agreement and summarized in the staff report, including that creation timeline, assisting in compiling the required project plan creation documents, the economic feasibility study. They assist with discussions with potential developers. They provide pro formas for us in analyzing development requests, and they assist us in reporting all of the documents that we need to report to the Department of Revenue. So the cost for this proposal from Baird is $12,500. And we propose that that be paid out of tax increment District 11 if it is created, which there is a process, there's a schedule in this in the packet that shows the robust creation schedule, right? There's a lot of touch points, we'll call them, between the Joint Review Board, the Plan Commission, and the City Council that will be reviewing the project plan and then ultimately, if they so choose, creating the tax increment district. So again, this is simply the front end. This is the first step, which is having a consulting agreement with Baird to start the process and do some of the work that comes before that TID creation. The second one, which is TID 12, we're calling TID 12. This is, we're proposing to do 2 tax increment districts to replace TID 7. So if you remember TID 7, we just closed tonight, that was a tax increment district in the city's downtown. It covered a portion of the north side of the river and a portion of the south side of the river. We are proposing, when that one is closed, to create 2 new tax increment districts, 12, which will be on the north side of the river, and 13 will be on the south side of the river. The boundaries have not been determined, as this is just the first stage in this process, but staff would hope to include as many contiguous parcels as possible in order to support redevelopment and development of underdeveloped land, vacant land, and redevelopment of some potential projects or some buildings that are blighted. So there will be multiple parcels in these in TIDs 12 and 13. We are proposing that they are considered blight elimination tax increment districts. Like I said, there will be multiple parcels in both of these districts that are not necessarily blighted. But if there are some blighted properties in our downtown, and if we use the blight elimination tax increment district law, we're able to keep that TID open for an extra 5 years to support additional development and collect increment, which could then be used for both public infrastructure and to support private investment and private development. So again, these are just the consulting agreements to have Baird help facilitate the creation of these TIDs. They will all go through a very public process and be noticed as such. The fee for the creation of TIDs 12 and 13 will both be $9,500, and those will be paid out of the TIDs once they are created. So I'm happy to answer any questions about those agreements relating to TIDs 11, 12, and 13. Staff does recommend that the City Council approve the agreements for general consulting services between the city and Robert Baird for each of those 3 TIDs. Happy to answer questions.
I move to approve the general consulting services agreement between the city of Fort Atkinson and Robert W. Baird and Company Incorporated for the creation of tax increment District 11.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 11D, review and possible action relating to the general consulting services agreement between the city of Fort Atkinson and Robert W. Baird Company Incorporated for the creation of tax increment district number 12. I believe the manager went over that one along with us, so.
Happy to answer questions if there are any.
Do you, what is the strategy of creating two districts that are north and south of the river? Is it just give you more flexibility in future, how they perform, or? Because they would be contiguous, wouldn't they, or contiguous connected by a bridge?
Yeah, it could be one really, really large one, or it could be two smaller TIDs. So we're recommending that we do two separate for we can have different goals and different projects that are identified in the project plan in each one, the north versus the south. Maybe our goals would be slightly different for the north side versus the south side. Maybe there would be more public improvements on the north side because the Riverwalk already exists on the south side. So maybe we would want to include a north side Riverwalk in the project plan for TID 12.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. One other question, when these are created, how do you get the word out to entities, businesses, people interested in here, near and far?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
There's a few different ways that we do that. Typically, if a property owner has a project, if the local property owner has a project and they want to build something, a lot of our downtown stuff is already developed. So it would be either demolition and rebuild or adding on, or things of that nature. If they are the property owner, then, they actually get a notice from the city that we are proposing to create a TID that their property is in. So they would know through that way. If there are parcels that, for example, we did identify a few parcels that would be potentially located within TID 12 and 13 that were developable sites that we had recognized in our retail market study report. So we can connect those types of things. So we can reach out to developers reach out to us. They're most of the time looking for incentives. This will allow us to assist in incentivizing development.
I move to approve the general consulting services agreement between the city of Fort Atkinson and Robert W. Baird and Company Incorporated for the creation of tax increment District 12.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 11E, review and possible action relating to the general consulting services agreement between the city of Fort Atkinson and Robert W. Baird and Company Incorporated for the creation of tax increment district number 13.
Happy to answer any questions.
I move to approve the general consulting services agreement between the city of Fort Atkinson and Robert W. Baird and Company Incorporated for the creation of tax increment district number 13.
Second.
Motion and a second again. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 11F, review and possible action relating to an agreement for general consulting services with Robert W. Baird and Company Incorporated to amend the tax increment district number 9 project plan with boundaries. Manager Hausman.
Thank you. This one's a little bit different. Tax Increment District 9 was created in the fall of 2022 as a mixed-use TID on the northwest side of the city. It was actually an overlay of 8. 8 is now closed, so 9 is the boundaries are included on a map within the staff report in the packet. So this body, as well as staff, has been working on some potential solutions for the Koshkonong Estates subdivision. That subdivision is currently located just south of TID number 9. Staff identified that subdivision and potential TID financing as a way to assist in the development of what development or redevelopment or undevelopment of what is currently located in that subdivision. So staff is proposing to amend the current tax increment District 9 to include a portion of the subdivision as a possible funding source for future projects. So this, again, is just the agreement with Baird to help us go through the process, well, including creating the timeline and all of the other items that are included in the staff report and in the actual agreement. Again, just to reiterate, there's no decisions have been made relating to Kashkanan Estates. Any decisions that are made would be made by the city council. This is simply a proposal to amend TID number 9 to offer a potential source of financing for public improvement projects in that area. With that, the fee is $9,500, and yes, that is the same as the fees for the creation. But as you can see from the agreement and from the timeline, the processes are just about the same, whether to amend or to create a new one. I will also just mention that originally the proposal was for all of them to cost $12,500, and I did attempt to negotiate with Baird to decrease that cost a little bit on the other TIDs because we are going to be going through a very similar timeline to hope to achieve some economies of scale with all the noticing that we have to do and all the meetings that we have to have. So staff does recommend that the city council approve this general consulting services agreement between the city and Baird to amend tax increment district number 9. I'd be happy to answer questions.
I move to approve the general consulting services agreement between the city of Fort Atkinson and Robert W. Baird and Company Incorporated to amend tax increment District 9.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. 11G, review and possible action relating to the award of professional services related to the lead service lateral replacement plan. Director Neven.
Good evening. All right. As you may recall, back in July of 2025, the city of Fort Atkinson was mandated by the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources to complete the lead service lateral line replacement plan. So in August of 2025, the city council adopted ordinance 9859 to ensure that we were compliant with the federal lead and copper rule improvement standards, and which then allowed us on October 31st of 2025 to submit the intent to apply for the Safe Drinking Water Loan Fund. That intent to apply makes the city eligible to apply for those funds by the June 30th of this year. City staff put out a request. At this point, the city staff put out a request for proposal for the lead service line replacement plan and received 6 proposals, which were evaluated based on the firm's experience, team qualifications, project approach, funding expertise, and cost. As you'll see, the different items 1 through 5 that are laid out there on what we were scoring some of those pieces on as well. Staff interviewed the firms that provided these top 2 proposals. Both proposals were joint proposals, Grafe and City Water, and then Rukert Milky and Jacobs Engineering. So it was good to see that some of these firms are coming together to really find the best way to do this, because this is something that is going to impact municipalities for the next 10 years. Both firms put together great proposals, ultimately Grafe coming out on top. Their team put together a strong proposal identifying multiple opportunities for grant and loan funding, as well as a strong communication plan to ensure residents are well aware of the lead service lateral replacement program that the city has initiated. And the Grafe and City Water proposal represents a transparent, efficient, and cost-effective program. And I think it's also important to note that they really hit on the health and safety that is included with this program. So the primary goal of this project is to develop a financing plan that minimizes the burden on homeowners. Grafe has proposed addressing this by applying for the following loan and/or grant programs: the Safe Drinking Water Loan Program, as mentioned, the bipartisan infrastructure law, and then targeted grants for outreach and communication through the DNR. So Graves proposed fee for tasks 1 through 5 for the RFP are not to exceed $88,836 as shown in the table below. It was not the least expensive proposal, but can be seen through the scoring matrix as the most comprehensive proposal. The internal team determined that the combination of Graves' design expertise and city water's utility management and financial modeling provides the best long-term value and fiscal protection for the city of Fort Atkinson. The administrative fees are not a budgeted CIP item for 2026. Staff is proposing that these fees be paid for by the Water Utility Fund. City side replacement funds have been identified in the CIP starting in 2027. The staff will work with the proposed firm to solidify funds needed on an annual basis to complete this work. So staff recommends awarding the lead service line replacement plan contract to the team of Grafe and City Water LLC to complete tasks 1 through 5 outlined in the proposal at a cost not to exceed $88,836 and authorize the city manager to execute the contract.
Can you remind me again what our timeline is from the, for getting all of this replaced?
As of today, the timeline is 2037.
Okay.
All of this is still in litigation at the federal level, so
Okay.
those dates are likely to change. I don't know which direction, but we would love to get on top of this and get it done. At the end of the day, it's still a health and safety matter.
Yep.
So we're happy to get on top of it and take initiative and get ahead of it. Another piece to keep in mind is brass and copper are two large commodities as part of this project, and they are not getting any cheaper.
That is so true. So what is the deadline for them to pull all this together?
So they have to have the grant application for the safe drinking water loan completed by June 30th of 2026.
Mhm.
And then from that, they'll work on those tasks 1 through 5, not necessarily in that order,
Yep.
but to ensure that everything is being met, putting that plan together for identifying what areas we're going to address first, and then putting that depends on what the financing looks like, right? Is it a 3-year plan? Is it a 5, 7-year plan?
Mhm.
So we'd hope to have that done by early 2027.
Okay.
And by that time, we should have a pretty good understanding of what our costs are going to be and how we can break those out on an annual basis. Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome.
I will just note for the council's information, this is really, this is a consulting services agreement for the city and Grafe and City Water to work together on a plan. So I just want to be clear that this does not fund any lead service line replacement. This does not fund the design of lead service line replacement on the public side or the private side. Just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. While this is expensive at $88,000, this will assist the city in creating a comprehensive plan, including communication, including obtaining grants, applying for grants. This is all kind of capacity stuff that the city does not have the capacity to do on our own or the expertise. City Water, for example, is working with Shorewood right now on this lead service line replacement, and over 80% of their private side laterals are lead. We, as outlined, as Director Navin outlined in the staff report, there's a total around, I always get this wrong, around 600 between the private side and the public side of lead or galvanized services that will need to be replaced. So again, this doesn't pay for the replacement, but it pays for consulting services for the city to put a plan in place, as well as the communication, which, as we all know, is very, very important when we're talking about a health safety issue, as well as talking about such a financial investment.
Yeah.
Well, my
And-
question was more in the nature of, I get questions from people, is there going to be help for this? What's the plan? When do I
Yeah.
have to have it done? Since those letters went out.
Yeah.
So I've been communicating that it's a complex process. So the consultant phase of this would be at least a year, is what you're thinking, 9 months
Yeah.
to a year?
Yep.
Okay.
By the time we get through some of these grant applications, and the grant application is submitted at the end of June, we
Mhm.
won't hear back until fall,
Okay.
at the earliest on that, and to understand what some of those look like. And that's exactly what they're doing, right? They're looking at
Mhm.
applying for anything that's going to help the private side to help reduce some of those costs.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing to echo off of Manager Hausman's comments too is uh, not only the capacity but the experience with this being a federal program. Everything is Buy America, Build America, the Davis-Bacon Act, which requires just miles of paperwork that again comes back to this capacity piece. And if you get any of that said paperwork wrong, you're then putting your funding in on jeopardy.
I like, looking through this, Grafe is a fairly local or southern Wisconsin company, and so is this City Water, sorry. I knew it was something there. Where I believe Rupert Milky and their other company that was working with is more of the secondary company is more of a national company. So I like how we're keeping a little more in the state. They know more of what Wisconsin law is going to require to be done here. And like you said, City Water working with Sherwood, a very big city along the lake that has a lot bigger problem than we have. So
Yeah, absolutely. Talking to some of the communities along the lake, I feel that we're in a very, very good spot in comparison.
Yeah, it is a lot of money, 88,000, almost $89,000, but you look at the hours that they are quoting, 489 hours. I mean, we don't have that capacity nor the expertise to manage that. So I move to award a professional services contract related to lead service lateral replacement plan to Grafe and City Water LLC to complete tasks 1 through 5 as outlined in the proposal at a cost not to exceed $88,836 and authorize the city manager to execute the contract.
Second.
motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to 11H, review and possible action relating to the purchase of a 2026 F-450 flatbed truck with dump body. Parks and Rec Director Dayton.
Yes, good evening. So this was included in the 2026 CIP. This Ford F-450 flatbed would be replacing our 1999 F-350 dump vehicle, which is our only heavy vehicle within our department. This is what is used for hauling gravel, heavier materials, and then also being able to haul larger quantities of materials. So we did give consideration towards updating to a F-450 from our F-350 for multiple reasons. A, safer. B, it's probably not going to get overloaded with what we're hauling. And then also it does provide us some flexibility if one of the other departments, if one of their vehicles went down, we'd be able to cross-utilize that across departments. Staff received 2 quotes, one from Ewald at $79,604, and then one from Griffin Ford for $79,554 and 50 cents. Both vendors were using the same contractor for the dump body, who would be also installing that. And with Griffin being the low bid, we also requested if there would be any trade-in, which for a 1999 vehicle like that, they were gracious enough to provide us with $1,000. This was over budget. We did levy $70,000 for it. And the remaining $8,554.50 will come from interest from Fund 16. And partially that was due to when quotes are provided and then just not necessarily having the full amount there. So with that, I guess staff recommends the authorize the purchase of the Ford F-450 from Griffin Ford in an amount not to exceed $78,554 and 50 cents. I will take any questions.
So how much is this vehicle used? That we had one that lasted from 1999.
Certainly.
Mhm.
So we use it quite a bit when we are moving or installing trees. We don't necessarily always purchase the large quantity of trees that the DPW would. So we use this vehicle to pick up trees and then install them. Also with our heavier, like our benches that would come in, our picnic tables, those sorts of things. This would be used, it's not a regular use vehicle, but is used pretty consistently over the summer. And then in the winter, it would be one of our vehicles that would be able to circle into our plowing units. This would also give us some flexibility too with adding in the future like a salter, so that we would have another or a vehicle that could salt more efficiently than what we currently have, which is our UTV with the salter in the back.
Okay, because I'm a little foggy on when you were talking about the cross utilization between the Public Works and Parks Department.
Mhm.
And if it's not a lot of use, we don't have a vehicle in Public Works that could be used for these things?
So public works vehicles are used consistently for this type of thing. To pull something like pull one of their units out isn't necessarily practical. Um, this would be again something that we would use pretty consistently, but it wouldn't be a general transport vehicle that would not be an efficient use of that vehicle. So it's utilized, it's an important piece of equipment, just like any of our other pieces of equipment that aren't necessarily used daily or even sometimes weekly, but it's still another tool that is important to the department, especially with that dumping capacity too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And highly, from what I heard, highly likely to be used during the winter months to more efficiently move snow.
Yes, and even with that too, we're conscious of that as well. As we retire the next vehicle, we can actually repurpose the plow components, I guess, to use something that we already paid for and have, and put it on a nicer vehicle that will be able to push more snow, uh, possibly push 12 inches of snow on a March day.
Did we consider, I mean, I know, to me, I guess the trade-in price just seems a little low compared to what we could have gotten on like a surplus auction sale for that vehicle. We
Um,
consider,
After discussing the auction site with other staff and then just the time also considered with that, uh, the likelihood and sometimes it's not a guarantee. So keeping the vehicle on our hands for longer, and then also not necessarily being guaranteed how much we could get from it was a consideration.
Okay.
Also, the condition of it too. Overall condition is
just, I
not
know,
the best, but
I occasionally watch these auction sites with other municipalities putting their vehicles up and knowing what some of these older model vehicles are still bringing. Just, I've seen them a lot more value than that $1,000. So
yeah,
that's
certainly.
just my concern. So
Okay. Yeah.
I move to approve the purchase of a 2026 F-450 flatbed truck with a dump body installed by Madison Truck Equipment from Griffin Ford in an amount not to exceed $78,554.50.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 11I, review and possible action relating to the purchase and replacement of 2 air conditioning units at the Fort Atkinson Senior Center, Parks and Recreation Director Dayton again.
Yes. All right, I'm going to start this one off with a quick story of a time when our current unit, the breaker on it went down and the unit was no longer working properly, which prompted a quick phone call to me to try to figure out what was going on. And as I found out, this was the very old unit from 1991. It was not necessarily it wasn't on my radar, at least. It was not in the CIP. So I made sure that we would add it to this year, and then also was able to add the other units that we have, our other furnaces, for a future CIP item in 2030. We have been using this brand, and then also have been servicing our smaller, what would be more like residential size, large residential size units from Armstrong Heating and Cooling. The units that we've been replacing have been the Lennox brands, which is why we went with that, or why staff went with that as the brand, and then also with Armstrong Heating and Cooling. Both units cost $5,725. Also with this, the replacement of the thermometers to a more efficient, what would be a wireless or a Wi-Fi unit, provides some flexibility with staff to be able to adjust that, program it easier, and then also in the future give access to what would be like a maintenance person, maintenance staff, other maintenance staff. So with that, the total would be with the 2 AC units and then the 2 new thermostats, total comes out to $11,890. We had $12,000 allocated towards this project. So staff does recommend that council authorize the purchase and installation of 2 Lennox air conditioning units and 2 wireless thermostats from Armstrong Heating and Cooling at a cost not to exceed $11,890. I will take any questions.
There's a need for expediency in this, I'm assuming, that it'd be done quickly.
Yeah, we are listed as a cooling
Location.
Thank you. So again, that situation there that I painted at the beginning happened on a warm day, and so it was kind of one of those concerning moments when we're a cooling location. So yes, it would be very important to get ahead of that.
We decided to go with Lennox for a brand name. Is there? We've been using that, so I get that idea. If we chose somebody to do Lennox that wasn't Armstrong, we'd have to go outside the city, would we not?
Correct. Yeah. So the other vendors that I could see, at least through a quick search, was down in Janesville. There were a couple of vendors down there, and then
It's much better that the city spends money on local people, I think.
certainly.
That would explain part of the reason we only got one, because we only got one that's local.
Correct. And that was, I guess, a couple things that has been a consistent vendor that we've used. Our units, as you can see with vehicles, having a certain brand or a certain type of vehicle provides a lot more efficiency when you're maintaining a fleet of multiple units.
Armstrong has a great reputation and has done a stellar job in this area for a very long time.
Certainly.
I have a question. Is there a threshold where we need to get multiple bids? The financial threshold?
There is for the total project. I think our financial guidelines recommend that we get more than one if it's,
I know you're looking at me.
I know you're clicking over there to open that up. I don't have it off the top of my head. But there are reasons that we use sole source bidding often, and the reasons that Director Dayton described are in line with that policy.
So to reiterate also, there are times we see the police department have gone with the same company, same vendor for consistency. Our staff has kind of learned to maintain and change the filters on these units as much as we have also learned when there's troubleshooting that we can kind of fix them too. So it is one of those situations where it has benefited the employees to know how to do some basic steps to avoid having to make a maintenance call.
I'm assuming the city has other Lennoxes and other city facilities.
Yeah, in the senior center, and then as we've replaced units here in this building, that has been the unit of choice as well.
Then it would make sense to me not to have multiple vendors so that every time one broke down in some building, we didn't have the same person to go to that does well.
Yeah, and I would say we're pretty unique compared to some of the other facilities that we have within the city, where more commercial units would be used, requiring a different level of purchase and a different level of maintenance, whereas our units are all pretty small. I'm trying not to be insensitive about this, but relatively low cost if you're looking at the grand scheme of things for two AC units. So that I guess also kind of pushes us in this direction of this is what we have to work with. So having a brand or a typical or a unit that is consistent makes it a lot easier for us versus one large AC handling unit or one large furnace.
If I may add, the library and the museum have very large commercial units that have to reach out to a commercial vendor, whereas Director Dayton had said we use more residential units in our facilities because they're not as such a big use of the energy, that we can use kind of the more smaller based units, less BTUs.
Well, again, in my mind, a local vendor that is as competent as Armstrong Heating gets a thumbs up from me.
Yeah, I appreciate the comment from earlier this evening about a desire to see a couple more bids, quotes received. But from my experience, staff does a pretty admirable job at seeking out multiple bids on purchases that oftentimes are quite a bit larger than this one. And so with that, I would move to approve the purchase and replacement of 2 air conditioning units at the Fort Atkinson Senior Center from Armstrong Heating and Cooling at a cost not to exceed $11,890.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just appreciate you talking through all that.
Yeah, oh yeah, I welcome the question, and it's fair questions across the board. So absolutely.
I did a cursory online check for this model, and I'm surprised we're getting it this cheaply for 2. So
I appreciate citizens, trying to keep an eye at this, but I believe, as it's been said here, that, staff does try to do a very good job at, sourcing the stuff and trying to, consistency within one service company is always great. And service companies prefer that because when one service company gets in and then another one gets in, pretty soon there's stuff all messed up between 4 different companies. So.
And it's under budget.
With that being said, any further discussion? Not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
I
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, item 12, miscellaneous. Tonight we have none. Item 13, public comment for matters not on the agenda. The city council will receive comments from city residents. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. Anyone wishing to speak was required to sign up in advance or state the following for the record when called upon: name, address, and subject matter and contact information. No action will be taken on public comments tonight. Note for those on Zoom, please raise your virtual hand as the chat box is not monitored, and those on the Zoom call must remain muted unless recognized. So we'll begin with Mrs. Brooks. You'd like to step up? Thank you. Sorry about confusion earlier.
No, it's my fault. Hi.
I need you to state your name and address so for the
yes.
record.
I'm Jean Brooks and I live at 1113 Elsie Street in Fort Atkinson.
Thank you.
And I've been following interest this process about the data centers and the controversy surrounding all these data centers that are suddenly, it seems like, jumping out on us. And I was really alarmed to read that there are 4 of the places in Wisconsin that sign non-disclosure agreements in order to get these data centers put into their communities. And people tell about the really not nice things about data centers. And sometimes they're downright destructive. And so I thought, that's horrible right off the bat right there, that a city council will make a non-disclosure agreement with a big corporation which could overtake that little city. And even though I'm not saying that any one of you is out to sneak anything over on us citizens, but these are big, really well-trained lawyers, and they come in and they can probably talk you into something that you don't even know you're agreeing to. And so I think that if we had it in writing that we are not going to do any non-disclosure agreements, that way, that would be some buffer for people who are able to come in and make these quick little deals. And so I would ask that you guys make up something which states that no non-disclosure agreement is viable, something like that. And I know that there is one coming, is in front of the legislature right now, state, and it's bill number LRB-6377. And they have the article, number 12, they're putting in there a prohibition on non-disclosure agreements between data centers, data center developers, utilities, and local government officials. And so that's pretty straightforward, and that should prevent any untoward activity from happening in that regard, because there's so much to think about with those data centers anyway. So that's what I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, nobody else in person, so this would be a first call for those on Zoom. Mr. House, I see you. Please state your name and address again.
John House, 104 Jefferson Street, Fort Atkinson. What I want to bring up is fires in the city of Fort Atkinson. When they were building residential homes out by my 200 acres of wetland reserve grasslands, the contractors are throwing scrap wood on and building bonfires and stuff. So I called the police department, and they told me to keep an eye on it and call them when they were burning. So I didn't get any place there. I observed a person burning leaves on Wilson Avenue the other day, and I called the police department, and the young lady answered it and told me that, oh, well, as long as it's not close to the house, it's okay. All right. I had gone down to the fire department last year, and the gentleman that was behind the desk told me there's no burning in the city of Fort. I then called Mr. Drager, and he quoted me some regulation, and he sent me that I should call the fire department again. So I'm confused. Can I burn my brush? Can I burn my leaves? Nobody seems to give me an answer, and I don't know if I don't suppose I can get an answer. But please help. And then I have one more question, Mr. President. May I make a statement about the meet and greet for the upcoming city council at the library?
Yes.
Acceptable?
Yep.
Okay, Thursday night at the library, the 19th, from 6 until 8. All 4 of the candidates for the city council will be meeting, and we'll have the option of answering questions. So please, everybody pass it on. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't believe there's anyone else wishing to speak. Seeing none, I will close out public comment. Item 14, claims, appropriations, and contract payments. 14A, review and possible action relating to the verified claims presented by the Director of Finance and authorized payment. Entertain a motion.
I move to approve the verified claims as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, although this is a roll call vote, sorry.
Councilmember Huckabee,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Lesko Hair,
Aye.
Councilmember Schultz,
Aye.
President Jekyll.
Aye, motion carries. Item 15, adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.